Threads of Eternity. Episode 2. The Weight of Witness. Part 1. Morning light breaks unevenly over the village, scattering over broken stone streets and half-collapsed buildings. The damage from the thread lingers. Hairline cracks snake along walls, shadows lag behind their owners, and faint echoes of the past repeat at odd intervals. The village is suspended in a strange half-memory, neither alive nor dead. Time did not heal this place. It paused it. Lyric stands alone in the central square, shoulders squared, head tilted slightly as she listens to the faint hum beneath her skin. The thread moves through her in quiet pulses, no longer flaring like fire, no longer silent like absence. It presses, a living weight she cannot shrug off. She flexes her fingers deliberately. A thin web of light threads between them. Delicate, almost inquisitive. Before fading as quickly as it appeared. She lets out a slow, measured breath, grounding herself.
It didn't stop when he left. It didn't stop when the night ended.
Her gaze drops to her hands, as though expecting them to bear the mark of change. They do not, but the air around them is different. Dense, expectant, like the village itself is holding its breath. From the shadows of a nearby alley, fabric shifts softly. Ilara stands there, wrapped in her cloak, watching quietly. She does not approach. She does not interrupt. She simply observes. Beneath her cloak, the device pulses once. Faint, restrained. Syncing with Lyric's presence. Ilara notices it. Lyric feels it. A silent acknowledgement passes between them, weightless, yet heavy with implication. Above, the village bell sits motionless in its tower. It does not ring. Yet its last echo lingers, a faint reverberation that bends slightly with each passing second, twisting into something almost unrecognizable. Lyric takes a slow step forward. Her boots echo softly against stone. The shadows flicker, splitting and merging in impossible ways.
Every step now counts. Every breath. Every glance.
She reaches the edge of the square. A loose stone shifts beneath her foot. Yet no sound is made. The thread hums in response, low and insistent, like it senses movement in the stillness. Ilara steps closer, careful not to break the fragile quiet. Her eyes are sharp, analyzing, understanding.
It's anchored to you now.
Lyric turns slightly, letting her gaze meet Ilara's. A flicker of tension crosses her face, tempered with resolve.
I didn't mean for this.
None of us ever do.
Lyric's gaze sweeps across the village again. Broken walls. Streets that remember old footsteps. Shadows that mimic life. The thread hums in acknowledgement, pressing, questioning. A faint wind stirs. Not strong, not cold, but enough to carry fragments of sound, whispers, laughter, the clink of distant metal. Nothing belongs here anymore, and yet everything lingers. Lyric kneels, tracing a finger along a cracked stone. The thread reacts subtly, light threads running from her fingers into the cracks, illuminating them briefly. She withdraws her hand and watches the fading glow.
This place. It remembers, and it will not forget.
From the edge of the square, a child's laughter, soft, hesitant, echoes. Lyric stiffens, alert. The village is waking. The thread hums louder, a gentle pulse warning her of unseen eyes. She exhales. The weight of the morning, of the thread, of the choice they made, presses against her chest.
I cannot leave. Not yet.
She rises, shoulders straight, eyes scanning the horizon. Beyond the village, the forest stirs. Not with wind, but with intent. Something watches. Something waits. Ilara's hand rests lightly on the device beneath her cloak. Kale appears at the far end of the square, scanning the tree line, ready.
We're not alone.
Lyric nods, feeling the thread tighten beneath her skin, a living tether. It hums. Low, insistent, aware of more than just this village, more than just her.
And neither am I.
The village awakens cautiously, as if hesitant to return to life. Doors creak halfway open, pause, then swing fully before closing again. Voices rise and fall unevenly, some repeating words before moving on, creating a chorus out of sync with itself. Lyric walks the narrow, winding streets alone at first. Each step echoes against stone that seems aware of her presence. The thread hums beneath her skin. subtle, persistent, reacting to everything around her. Stone walls pulse faintly as she passes, tiny veins of light tracing the cracks. A hanging charm sways, not from wind but from some unseen breath of memory. A puddle at the street's bend reflects the sky, but the reflection lags slightly, catching up like a delayed heartbeat. Lyric stops abruptly. She kneels and presses her fingers to the cold stone. The hum deepens, not louder, but heavier, like the thread is thinking without words. A memory presses against her mind, not her own. A woman laughing here yesterday, her joy echoing like a fragile bell. A child running past this corner last week, footsteps out of sync with reality. The sound of a bell that no longer exists, resonating in her chest. Lyric pulls her hand back sharply, startled by the weight of it. She rises too quickly, breath tightening.
It's not broken. It's remembering wrong.
Across the square, villagers repeat subtle motions. A man lifts a basket, lowers it, then lifts it again. A woman smooths the same patch of cloth repeatedly, her eyes vacant and unfocused. Reality folds in on itself here, half alive, half memory. Alara approaches quietly, stepping over the uneven stones. She stops beside Lyric, careful not to crowd her.
It's anchored to you now.
Lyric doesn't look at her. Her eyes sweep the village, observing every displaced echo.
I didn't mean for this.
None of us ever do.
Alara gestures toward the warped surroundings.
But this isn't spreading randomly. It's stabilizing around patterns.
Lyric finally meets her gaze.
Patterns of what?
Alara hesitates. Slowly, deliberately, she draws out the device from beneath her cloak. It glows faintly, not in response to the village, but to Lyric herself. Threads of light flicker and pulse in synchrony with the thread beneath Lyric's skin. Both see it, understanding dawning.
Choice.
Lyric swallows, her jaw tight.
Then they're caught in mine.
A sudden movement draws their attention. Kale steps into the square, alert, scanning the edges where the forest meets the village. His eyes narrow as he senses the shift before it manifests.
We're not alone.
At the forest's edge, something shifts, subtle, almost imperceptible. Not a body, not a shadow, but a distortion in the air itself. It recoils the instant it notices their gaze. The thread tightens within Lyric. Not in warning, in recognition. Her eyes narrow. Something is watching. Something knows her. The village holds its breath. Time itself seems to pause, awaiting what comes next. The village square is quiet, almost unnervingly so. The usual bustle of merchants and villagers is absent, replaced by the soft creak of old timber and the echo of footsteps that don't quite belong. Near the center, a child stands alone by the old stone well. She is unnaturally still, almost statuesque, her wide eyes locked on Lyric as if seeing far beyond the ordinary. Lyric feels it first, a subtle pull beneath her skin. The thread hums softly, vibrating in resonance with the child's presence. Her gaze drops to the child's wrist. A faint sigil marks the skin, delicate, barely etched, like a scar that never fully formed. It pulses faintly, a quiet echo of the thread's activation. Lyric approaches slowly, each step measured, careful not to startle. Kneeling to meet the child's gaze, she offers a gentle smile.
Hey.
The child does not blink. Her eyes are unblinking mirrors, reflecting more than the square around them.
You glow wrong.
Alara stiffens instinctively. Kale shifts closer, hand hovering near his weapon, instincts sharpened by countless near misses. Lyric keeps her voice calm, even gentle.
What do you see?
The child raises her small hand, pointing, not at Lyric's chest, but through her, as though tracing something invisible in the air.
Strings. They're tight around you. They pull on everything.
Lyric's breath catches, a sudden spike of tension. She exhales slowly, forcing herself to stay composed. The child glances down at her own wrist, where the faint sigil pulses softly, mirroring the thread's rhythm.
Mine started after you came.
Elara kneels beside them, examining the sigil closely. Her fingers hover, careful not to touch.
She's marked?
Kale narrows his eyes, stepping slightly forward.
Like lyric?
Elara shakes her head, voice low.
No, like an echo. A reflection of the thread's presence. Influenced, not bound.
Lyric closes her eyes briefly, the weight of realization pressing down.
So this is how it spreads. Not through force, through proximity.
The child lifts her gaze again, eyes sharp and unyielding.
They're watching you.
Lyric opens her eyes, scanning the edges of the village. Her heartbeat quickens subtly as the thread reacts, threading faintly along her arms, back, and chest.
Who is?
The child points toward the forest, then lowers her hand slowly, as if acknowledging the unspoken danger.
The old man with no shadow.
A heavy silence falls. The forest seems to lean closer, trees bending subtly, as if eavesdropping. Kale's jaw tightens. His eyes flick to the tree line, muscles taut. Elara exhales slowly, calming herself, though the sigil on the child's wrist pulses faintly beneath her fingers. The child steps slightly closer to Lyric, small fingers brushing against the hem of her cloak. The thread responds instantly, a gentle ripple that feels both warning and invitation.
Stay close. We'll protect you.
The child nods faintly, trusting without question. But the shadows at the forest's edge shiver unnaturally, stretched and lagging, almost sentient. Lyric's eyes narrow, the thread pulsing stronger now, not in fear but in readiness.
It watches. It waits. And I have to decide how far I'll let it go.
The village square holds its breath, caught between the past and present, between thread and reality, as three figures, Lyric, Elara, and Kale, stand over the child marked by destiny. Lyric stands at the threshold where the village gives way to the forest, the air heavier here. Sunlight pierces in thin, fractured shafts, casting long, trembling shadows across moss-covered roots and broken stone. She doesn't know why she walked here, only that the thread asked, pulling her forward in whispers she cannot yet name. The forest itself feels alive, subtly bending. Paths shift as if reluctant to reveal themselves. Branches twist, remembering positions they occupied yesterday or last year, distorted time leaking through the trees. A subtle vibration hums beneath Lyric's skin. The thread pulses gently, coiling around her like smoke, alerting her to what her eyes cannot see. Something watches. Not from a single spot. Not one pair of eyes. A multitude. The pressure is scattered, elusive, a presence that moves through the forest like water seeping into stone. Lyric breathes evenly, feet planted firmly, hands relaxed at first, then flexing, feeling the faint hum of the thread between her fingers. She speaks without turning, voice calm but sharp.
I know you're there.
The pressure changes, subtle but undeniable, a ripple along her spine. Someone withdraws slightly. Then one figure breaks formation. Steps emerge from the darkness, careful, precise, testing. Closer. Observing. Calculating. Lyric's hands glow faintly, threads of light spiraling along her arms and fingertips. They twist in the air like living threads of silk, tracing invisible lines back into the forest.
Not predators. Observers.
The figure pauses at the edge of a shadow, hidden enough to remain unseen, yet close enough for Lyric to feel its intent. It leans forward, tilting its head, evaluating her, waiting for a response. Lyric inhales deeply, the air thick with moss and sunlight, letting the thread respond. A gentle pulse, not aggression, not fear, just awareness. The presence recedes slowly, slipping back into the multitude scattered through the trees. Yet even as it retreats, the forest hums. The watchers have not left. They linger, omnipresent, patient, silent. Lyric exhales, shoulders relaxing fractionally, but her eyes remain sharp, scanning every bend, every shadow. The forest edge feels quieter now, but tension vibrates beneath every leaf, every shaft of sunlight.
And I know they'll be back.
A bird calls from deeper in the trees. Its song is fractured, off-tempo, echoing as though time itself stutters. The thread tightens briefly around Lyric, a reminder that nothing here is ordinary. Lyric's gaze lingers on the shifting shadows, chest rising and falling steadily. The watchers are patient, invisible, yet their intent is clear. They see her. They measure her. And they wait. The sun drags its dying light across the village, painting fractured stone and uneven rooftops in shades of orange and violet. Shadows stretch unnaturally long, bending against logic, curling around the edges of the square like tendrils. The air vibrates faintly, a low hum that seems to emanate from the village itself. Lyric stands at the center, the thread coiling subtly beneath her skin, light rippling faintly along her arms. Alara is close, cloaked and still, eyes sharp, device pulsing faintly in response to Lyric. Kale watches the tree lean, posture taut, every instinct screaming caution. Nearby, villagers move with hesitant normalcy, gathering water, sweeping the steps, murmuring quietly to themselves. None notice the invisible weight pressing over the square. None understand the choice unfolding in the air.
If we stay, they'll find us.
Lyric doesn't answer immediately. Her gaze drifts across the square, taking in the warped stone, the flickering shadows, the child marked by the sigil, and the air itself that shivers with unseen memory.
If we leave, this place collapses.
Alara studies her closely, hands hovering over the device at her chest.
This isn't about the village.
Lyric meets her gaze steadily. Her eyes reflect the hum of the thread, faintly glowing like molten glass.
No.
Her attention falls to the child, small, unblinking, sigil glowing faintly. Then to the fractured stone underfoot, warped from lingering temporal distortions. Finally, upward to the sky, fractured in echoes, remembering too much of what has passed and what might come.
It's about what the thread does when no one bears witness.
She steps forward, slow but deliberate. Each step resonates faintly, threads of light trailing her movements like liquid silver. The thread hums beneath her skin. Not anxious, not aggressive, but expectant, approving.
We stay.
The wind shifts suddenly, brushing through the square like a living thing. Leaves rustle unnaturally, bending as if leaning closer to listen. Somewhere beyond the forest's edge, something shifts. Eyes countless and unseen fix on them. Not yet attacking, not yet revealing itself. But waiting. Kale exhales, his jaw tightening. Alara grips the child's hand lightly, feeling the pulse of the sigil in sync with the thread's low hum. Lyric closes her eyes for a moment, centering herself, letting the weight settle across her shoulders. The sun dips lower, painting the village in deep purples and blood-red shadows.
To witness is to hold the balance. To leave is to let it unravel.
She opens her eyes, resolve sharp as blades. The decision is made. They will stay, and whatever watches beyond the trees will have to reckon with them, together. The thread pulses once, low and deliberate, almost like a heartbeat. A warning. A promise. The village rests under an uneasy twilight. Shadows stretch impossibly long, merging and separating in unnatural rhythms. The thread pulses faintly beneath Lyric's skin, syncing with the subtle distortions in the air. Alara kneels beside the sigil-marked child, keeping a protective hand lightly over the small wrist. Kale stands near the treeline, scanning, body taut, every muscle ready. The wind dies. Absolute silence falls, the kind that presses against the ears and the chest. Even the stones seem to hold their breath. Then a movement, slow, deliberate. From the forest, a figure steps forward. Tall, broad, and commanding, but something in his presence makes the air itself hesitate. He moves with uncanny precision, each footfall silent yet felt. Greg Gray, the old guard of the rift, thought gone, steps into the clearing. Shadows cling to him unnaturally. Not absent, but distorted, as if reality itself refuses to fully accept him.
Well, well. The newcomers dare show themselves.
Lyric stiffens. The thread reacts instantly, light threading across her arms and back, rising like liquid silver along her spine. She steps in front of the child.
You're gray.
Greg nods once, the expression unreadable. His eyes flick briefly to the sigil on the child's wrist, then back to Lyric.
I've been watching. Waiting. The thread chooses. Interestingly.
Kale steps forward, placing himself between Gray and the others.
You don't belong here.
Gray tilts his head, almost amused. His gaze sharpens on Lyric.
Neither does she.
He pauses, letting his words sink in. The forest itself seems to lean closer, shadows rippling unnaturally around him.
The thread chose. Wrong. But mistakes can be corrected.
Lyric feels the thread surge. Restrained but tense, coiling like a living thing beneath her skin.
I won't be yours.
Gray studies her with an almost imperceptible smirk, respect mingling with danger.
Good. That means you'll be harder to break.
He steps backward slowly. Each motion distorts the shadows, fracturing the light around him until, almost impossibly, he dissolves into scattered shards of fractured light, leaving only the whisper of his presence.
Run if you want. Protect them if you must. But the mark follows. And eventually, you'll come to me.
A shiver passes through the village. The thread hums low and deliberate, not fear but recognition. Alara exhales, relief and tension mingling.
That wasn't just a threat.
Kale shakes his head grim.
An invitation?
Lyric tightens her jaw, eyes forward, pulsing threads coiling faintly around her hands.
Then I'll decide when I answer.
The sigil-marked child glances at Lyric, understanding more than her years should allow. Lyric crouches slightly, offering a reassuring smile.
We survived this together.
The forest beyond the tree line is still, but the pulse of unseen eyes remains. Watching, waiting. The thread hums once firm, deliberate, a heartbeat that binds the three together. Night settles wrong over the village. Stars appear in clusters that don't belong together. Constellations misaligned, overlapping eras of sky stitched carelessly overhead. The moon flickers once, like an eye struggling to stay open. Lyric stands at the outskirts of the village, just beyond the last lantern. The thread hums louder here, not urgent, not violent. Curious. She presses her palm to her chest. The hum shifts.
It's not warning me. It's responding.
Behind her, footsteps crunch softly. Alara stops a few paces away. Kale remains farther back, giving space but not distance.
You shouldn't be this close to the boundary alone.
Lyric doesn't turn.
It doesn't want me surrounded.
Alara studies her carefully.
The thread?
Lyric nods.
It behaves differently when it thinks I'm listening.
A low vibration rolls through the ground, subtle, rhythmic. Not an earthquake. A pulse. The air thickens. The edges of trees blur slightly, like reality blinking. Kale steps closer.
I feel that.
Lyric exhales slowly.
It's answering something.
Or someone.
The thread flares faintly beneath Lyric's skin. Not light this time, but pressure. A direction without distance. Lyric turns, eyes fixed on the dark forest beyond the village.
It's not pulling me forward.
She swallows.
It's pulling through me.
Silence stretches. The marked child appears at the edge of the lantern light, watching Lyric with unsettling calm.
It's louder tonight.
Alara stiffens.
You should be asleep.
It doesn't sleep.
She looks directly at Lyric.
Neither do you anymore.
The thread reacts instantly, a tight, resonant hum that vibrates through Lyric's bones.
What is it saying?
The child tilts her head, listening to something no one else can hear.
That you're late.
A sudden shift ripples through the forest. Not movement. Alignment. Shadows snap into place, finally matching their owners, but only for a moment. Then one shadow doesn't. It stretches too long. Too tall. Kale reaches for his weapon.
We're being measured.
Ilara steps closer to Lyric, voice low.
This is how it starts. Not with attacks,
She watches the tree line.
with attention.
Lyric's jaw tightens.
Then let it look.
The thread pulses once, firm, deliberate. Somewhere far beyond sight, something acknowledges the signal. Not approval. Recognition. The night exhales. And the village, unknowingly, becomes a fixed point in a tightening weave. Subscribe to keep up with all the mystery, drama, love, and sci-fi series. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.